One thing I'd quickly like to note.
Aatrox skin.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. This guy, okay, so they accidentally forget to announce their proxy pick, but their jungler just so happens to have the freshest, hottest Aatrox skin with a chroma as well, guys.
Chroma and the border in loading screen.
So I'm not one for conspiracy theories myself, but my guy is telling me this man wanted to play Aatrox.
From what I've seen of the hunt, it wouldn't surprise me if it was all a mental game. But
Level 1, we're seeing pretty standard 5-point defense. Shaco puts down a defensive ward on the top side of his jungle to prevent any sneaky goings on, anyone trying to invade.
Dark Harvest.
Swain is still in base because he's an old man. He's probably got like gout or something. Maybe struggling to get his way to middle lane.
That is.
Shaco did walk directly past the Maokai. They are aware of his whereabouts. Maokai holding deadly still, so as not to be heard or seen. Unshaking in the face of danger. And a quick note, we do see Dark Harvest come out of soft far on the Shaco. In my experience, I believe that was likely going to be tending towards the ability power build. I think most AD Shakos go the Halo Blades. And
we'll see a few Harvests. If they're going for a one-shot build, I think they take Harvest.
I guess maybe he's trying to keep his options open to adapt his build to where the game goes. We'll have to see. I suppose there's not too many champions you can reliably auto-attack. And AP Shaco is actually really good at making space, disrupting team fights, and the boxes some really good poke damage, etc. We're seeing both junglers start on the bottom line of the map. Shaco making an interesting move towards the bot lane after only one camp.
Gank.
The young blue buff Shaco, he definitely just got spotted by Pass Me the Bamboo. Huh. See, this could be like a Korean thing that I personally haven't seen before. However, I'm going to go ahead and say that spending 30 seconds to show bot lane and then go back and do your Gromp might not be optimal. And don't shoot the messenger, because again, I don't know. This could be like some super high level thing that we're misunderstanding, but I guess he really wanted to have a gander at that fancy Soraka skin in the bot lane. And he's just come back to farming his jungle like nothing even happened. Meanwhile, Aatrox is already on almost his third camp, or fourth camp. So, jungle diff, question mark?
We're seeing cleanse out the Jhin is something that might be noteworthy. I suppose, like, you know, he's not trying to get locked down. Could indicate that soft fart is looking for an AP build. You know, if they're trying to make certain that they're gonna.
It just has really laying the beat down on Kadrax Maokai with the level advantage and the wave shoved. He did a number on this guy. Took out about 75% of his health. We'll be rejetting some of that up with a health potion and endurance ring, but
it's still not optimal for him. You know, he doesn't want to be taking that damage, especially not this early.
His lane state is somewhat
with an Aatrox to help him out. You know.
Yep, I feel you.
That's a lot of
he was expecting to have.
On the side of, I think that is Gourmet Gang.
Who, a lot of what?
Team Spanner's Platypus, right?
Yeah. Red Tide is Platypus.
Yes. So yeah, Biscuits on 4 of their champions because Biscuits are absurdly broken.
They spent so much time in loading screen; they are all collectively starving. They all took Biscuits, but yeah, maybe it's to in the bot lane to counteract some of the strikers. But we are seeing a gank go down in the top lane. This is the poor lane state I was alluding to just a moment ago from the Ornn. Aatrox lands the first Q and the second, knocks down the Umbral chains, but Ornn has to blow his flash to get away. And this is what I was saying, because while the original trade was definitely favorable for the Ornn, he left his lane state in a pretty awkward position where he couldn't quite get the wave all the way to the turret, meaning the minions were just going to sit just outside of that range. Where he can't reliably farm them, and Aatrox is looking for the counter gank, but a smart ward from Ornn is going to thwart that one. Seeing some short trades in the middle lane. Holy Tempest stacking up that passive all the way up to 21 stacks of phenomenal evil power. Aatrox really hell-bent on making this top gank work. He's on a turret, takes a turret shot, gets a little bit more poke damage down, but basically never going to be able to kill that Ornn on that gank. So spending a lot of time up there.
Big damage from Spanner.
Yeah.
That's also an Aftershock Maokai rather than Grasp the trades in lanes. That's possibly what's not helping him. Although he is up 16, 17 farm now.
Yeah.
So
The time that
Maokai's engage is pretty hefty here. I suppose it's gonna have to be because there's not much else that's gonna be able to lock down Team Spanner.
this is true. This is true. Aatrox and Shaco about even up after the level 1 shenanigans or level 2 shenanigans from the Shaco. Even up on the camp perspective. Currently no attention being given around the dragon. All lanes just farming. Red side of also Platypus have had priority bot lane for pretty much the entirety of the lane phase, which is to be expected. Vayne and Soraka are both, unless Soraka's landing every Q and she's goddamn scripting, then it's typically not the most powerful early game bot lane, as opposed to Leona, who is just unkillable for some reason, and Jin, who's got pretty reliable early burst with this force shot. So small CS discrepancy there. Honestly, not the largest discrepancy at the top lane anymore, because Ornn does have a few creeps to pick up outside of his turret while Malko's done his way back to lane. And Shaco and Aatrox are meeting the top side of the jungles. 1 level differential there.
We're not seeing too much aggression come out from either side. You'd think that red side would be a little bit more aggressive, but I suppose game 1 UNL nobody wants to make any mistakes, particularly early. But I think yeah, this one sort of everyone's a little bit standoffish. No one's hard pushing after the Ornn sort of got punished for his push, but I think as soon as level 6 hits that bot lane, I could see them just going straight in. And I think if they can if they can keep pushing the wave and get it to reset and bounce middle, they can really zone that Vayne Soraka away.
For sure, for sure. And who do you, if the game continues in this sort of pace where not too much is happening, still 0 kills at 7 minutes in, which team would you argue that favors in the grand scheme of things?
I think we'd be seeing a blue side advantage just because, you know, Vayne Vigar, if the two of them can continue to like free farm, the Vigar gets some stacks going, then they're gonna be tough to deal with late game. Like, you know, you might not be able to kill Ornn Leona, and maybe not Swain, but without the Jhin, if Vigar can one-shot him, they're probably not gonna be able to kill the whole of the team, especially not like with a Maokai bearing down on him. So it's gonna be a tough one, and a Soraka's keeping everyone alive. Oh wow, yeah, that those late game team fights are not gonna be pretty for red side. So I think it's gonna be one that they're gonna try and end, or gonna want to try and end as early as possible.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement on all of that. While I do think, obviously, Jin's late game is a force to be reckoned with. I don't think it quite matches up to Swain Soraka, who are just pure late game scaling. Vigar, again, much the same. So I think if I was Gourmet gang in this situation, despite the awkward jungle situation, I'd be feeling pretty good about things. Small invade from the Shaco onto the enemy Krogs. Could be setting up for a dive, seeing the Leona and Jhin hit 6, but Ornn is very pushed up once again. Aatrox walks into the top lane. Ornn gets a 2-man ult, he's bursting the Aatrox pretty hard. Huge CC chain.
It's some big damage, but kill goes onto the Malphite. Yeah, I mean, we were saying that we weren't too sure about the jungle matchup, but although red side do look like they're going to trade drag for it, which makes a lot of sense. Although I don't think Aatrox has anywhere near the drag potential that Shaco does.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much to be expected. Although the Aatrox is up on farm and hit 6 while the Shaco is still 5. Oh, that's damage from Granny Spanner.
Yeah, so I think Ornn was feeling probably pretty safe on the top side of the map with that pink ward and the green ward covering both of the top lane bushes, knowing that his team were in a position to respond to Dragon if they did, for whatever reason, try anything top, which they did. Aatrox came in for the gank. It was pretty close on Digitest's behalf. Maybe that's a little bit of his ego getting in the way, trying to go for the 2v1 instead of playing safe while his team secured Dragon. But, I mean, it's definitely not the end of the world for either side. The gold on Maokai instead of Aatrox is probably not ideal for Gourmet gang, but once again, helping him scale to that late game tankiness is not going to be a detriment by any stretch. And Aatrox is looking to pick up the Rift Herald right now, almost done with it, and Shaco doesn't seem to be responding. So it looks like that objective is going on to the Gourmet gang.
No sweeper from either jungler yet either, so possibly like experience from last season comes into play, because I'm pretty sure most other junglers would have at least looked to grab one by now, just because the amount of benefit they can get from it's so insane.
I'm not over how cool this Aatrox skin is, by the way.
Very nice Aatrox skin.
Sounds so nice as well. But yeah, so we do see the Rift Herald picked up on the side of Gourmet Gang. If you were the Hunt in this situation, which lane would you be most inclined to drop this Herald in? I'll probably just beat a minion.
Top pressure could be their easiest one. I don't think they're going to be able to do much bot. Just Leona level 6 disengage, and the cleanse on the Jhin means he probably can't look for too much there. But I guess maybe mid. But I think the Vigar's happier to just leave that turret up and let him push so he can stack away. Yeah, like if they can keep pushing top. And really try and force that lead there. It's not going to do too much for you, but you've probably not got too many other options.
And it looks like Aatrox is trying to force a play into the bot side, gets turned up by the solar flare, and decides to back away. Yeah, it's an interesting point you bring up about the Rift Herald. I think in a lot of situations, you like to use the Rift Herald to get down an early turret to end the laning phase of one of your laners so that they can go and impact the rest of the map. But for the most part, with things like the Vigar and the Vayne, they want to stay in lane as long as they feasibly can to get their items and get their big power spike. So perhaps he'll just use that to maybe get some plate gold onto Vigar, because connecting to a turret is pretty hard when his lanes don't have prio.
Yeah, if he top lane's arguably the worst lane to stick it down in if you had to choose the three, but in this
and Shaco's making a move onto the Maokai, and Maokai is going to be face checking one of these boxes. Flashes away, but he's currently under ignite. Ornn completely whiffed his ult too, but flashes to secure the kill with the grass proc. Gonna go ahead and say that's not the most cleanly played gank from the side of Platypus, but it is something. They managed to kill the Maokai. That guy's pretty tanky with his Spirit Visage. And yeah, some nice gold going back over to the side of the Ornn. Once again, maybe preferred on the Shaco. Seeing a 1v1 in the middle lane. Tempest has to flash away from the Swain ult. And we're really seeing the early presence of that Swain with the Electrocute.
Swain with Electrocute is just so absurd.
Definitely some really potent early game trading potential with both halves of his E, and the pull being enough to proc the Electrocute means it's really reliable. Yeah, Vigar really feeling the pressure as he's trying to scale up to late game. We do see the Tiamat purchase from Softfart, so it looks like he's going to be edgy towards the AD build. Interesting to see where that goes. Maybe an adaptation to the Spirit Visage Rush from the Maokai. But, definitely a solid way of playing Shaco in the scheme of things.
We've got the completed Warrior from Aatrox already. That's pretty big for him, you know. CDR. I think we're probably likely to see Cleaver next. I think that champ still builds it. And
yeah.
Get that sort of triple tank, sort of if you count Swain as a off tank, I suppose. That's sort of like, yeah, big HP build. Cleaver as well with the Vayne stacking, like those tanks aren't gonna last too long.
It's interesting because while they were looking to pick Kayn, Aatrox is somewhat strong in this situation for a lot of the same reasons that Red Kayn would have been. And we see an engage onto the Soraka in the bot side. Leona lands a E and forces the flash out from Soraka. Jin's dropping the ultimate. Force shot connects on the Soraka, which unfortunately doesn't. Bamboo holds steadfast.
Build it down at blue buff.
And Herald is going for a wander, long way around. Wanted to visit that boss cone. Probably ran out of time on the Herald, which is why he was forced to drop it during taking his camp. Not the ideal usage. Looks like it will get a charge off in the top side though, as they synchronized it with the Maokai pushing.
Although that is going to be a second drag onto red side.
Yeah, but once again, Platypus are responding with the Cloud Dragon.
An Infernal Soul.
An Infernal Soul coming out. So it's interesting because, well, we've obviously spoken at decent length about the potential late game scaling of Gourmet Gang with their Vigar Vayne comp. We are seeing both early dragons go over to the Team Platypus. So if they manage to secure the Ocean Soul, Infernal Soul, it's probably going to be a late game victory. Swain preemptively TPs, maybe jumps the gun a little bit with that one. TP's top to response to the Ornn, but it didn't really look like Aatrox was looking to commit to that dive. So perhaps a waste. Vigar gets a little bit more time to push in middle, get some more stacks.
There's an invade from the Aatrox, and that is not the way I would have thought this would be going, because the Aatrox was just 2 levels up on the Shaco. The Shaco's going to clear walls and then head top side, and it looks like he's going to be caught. And his Swain possibly won't be back at lane yet for that.
Yeah, Aatrox taking advantage of the fact that Swain's going to have to reset after this TP to make a little bit of a trap at the enemy Raptors, but Shaco doesn't come, is instead opting for a middle lane gank. Vigar doesn't have flash right now, but he does have barrier, and Aatrox is in range to respond. Shaco with no Q. Wolves just decides he wants to take that stun to the face. Swain misses, he is walking up pretty aggressively.
We're seeing these two tanks in the top lane just headbutt each other repeatedly, and Beddomu is screeching.
He's rolling in his grave right now.
He is crying.
This is one of those games where one of these tanks is going to win and they're going to look at the post-game damage charts and see they did the most by like 10 hit K because all they did was just where Noodle fight all game top lane. With all the healing those champs have built in, then really inflates their damage numbers. But a slight edge coming out for the Maokai, I suppose that makes sense with the jungle attention he's received from his Aatrox, including the Herald, etc. Aatrox also be coming in for a flank on the Swain middle. Vigar's out of mana.
He does still have barrier. It's gone down.
Swain just pops the Vigar in the 1v1, in the 2v1, sorry. Even through the Vigar barrier, but Aatrox squashes him.
I think because it's a champion that isn't seen too frequently, like, he can just absolutely nuke you with damage you do not expect.
Was it the Shy that almost killed like 4 members of G2 with 1 Aatrox Q, like the Last World or something? I seem to remember that in my head.
Something like that.
Aatrox with the Q flash onto the red buff. Eventually does manage to secure the kill on the Shaco. Ornn is trying to respond, but doesn't have any backup right now and is out of mana. I honestly favor the Aatrox in this 1v1 if he manages to get a healing off its Q sweet spots. Gets a big kill from his passive. Ornn secures the red buff, says, fuck you, that shit's mine. And I think he's going to saunter on out of there. Huh.
The Aatrox
Ornn gets the red buff, I guess.
Pretty scary. Is it going to be permabanned away from the hunt going on? The Aatrox jungle.
Yeah, interesting. If we went off the events of Champ Sledge, you wouldn't really be anticipating the jungle to be the win condition for the side of Gourmet Gang, but he's putting on somewhat of a clinic, really exerting a lot of pressure. 2-level lead on the Shaco right now.
This does not look like a man that hasn't played Aatrox jungle.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, once again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, guys, but he definitely wanted Aatrox this game.
Yeah,
I like interrupt on the Ornn as he's just slapping the ward.
That's why Aatrox was proxy picked instead of Kayn. Because the hunt doesn't even own Kayn. He doesn't even have him. He never intended to play that champion. It's all a mental game. This is the hunt's world, and
being Maokai is within an inch of his life. These top lane trades are honestly more entertaining than I think anything else is going on the map right now. We have, how do I show? I honestly don't know how. Oh, we see a solo kill
from
Bamboo. Is the wife buff not a myth? Just absolutely claps out the Kino man in the 1v1. We see him overextend on his own versus a Borg Thane. Definitely menacing in the 1v1. Like, we're almost at the mid game at this point. We're almost 20 minutes into the game, so Vayne is no longer at that really, really weak and abusable state that she was at the start of the game. She got some gold under her belt, and yeah, just really flexing with that solo kill on the bot lane. Ornn looking for a roam mid, hits the second part of the ult onto the Vigar, and that is just extremely dead mage. No sums to his name, or I guess he had flash, but didn't feel it was worth burning. We see a TP response from Maokai, but doesn't have the damage to really exert any pressure on either. We're seeing another fight in the boss side of the jungle. Leon locks down the Aatrox with the solar flare as he chases onto the Shaco. Softbot taking a lot of damage, but gets the fear onto the Aatrox as he having to cut away. Bamboo remaining fairly untouched.
that is some.
No grievous wounds on the side of Platypus, so Aatrox is just.
He doesn't complete the cleaver.
And he does have a whole cleaver to his name. Yeah, I think Platypus is just finding it really hard to contest with the raw stats of this level 11 Aatrox. Now he gets a nice route onto the Swain, who has flash, isn't quite able to make it over the wall. Kino Man walks into the second half of the Aatrox Q, but does manage to get away with his life. And it looks like Platypus aren't going to be able to keep the Infernal Soul Dream alive, while Gourmet Gang secured Dragon number 3 of the game, the first Infernal. Quite a strange series of plays, quite extended.
Ooh.
Close still, almost at the sneaky W.
This is gonna be a tough one for Team Platypus to respond to. You know, you do have to feel for them having to rearrange their team with such late notice. Like, I mean, like less than a week, but their mental is not gonna be benefiting from this one.
Well, obviously that is the case of maybe these players aren't super adjusted to their positions. I think we did see some questionable decisions come out from Softbot towards the start of the game. That interesting hello he said to the bot lane level 1, and just general disregard for a lot of his camps. He's focused on ganking, but has remained less kill participation than the Aatrox, and there's also a lot of farm down. Just really can't contest with the raw strength and stats of the Aatrox at this point in the game. I think you either have to sort of opt for the spam ganking playstyle to complement the Leona and the Swain, the things that are in your lanes, but he didn't really do that. He only got off one successful gank, and then he just hasn't been able to keep up with the farm either, and is just generally being outscaled at this point. Didn't see enough out of him this game, this early game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think his show level 1, you know, it would have been interesting to see how that would have worked out if he hadn't been seen and managed to get behind them. Like, we could be seeing an entirely different game there if we get looking at it, possibly a double kill on a Jin, or even the Shaco himself at level 1. That'd be something that can just absolutely scale in that lane. But
Yeah, definitely can.
I think we're probably only seeing, I mean, gold difference in the top lane, probably not too bad. Mid lane, I think Granny Spanner will be slightly ahead of Holy Tempest. But
And you want to know the hotkey to fucking the hotkey to change.
Bot lane's probably got a little bit of a lead for Bamboo, and I don't think I can pronounce that, but Soraka. I think there's going to be a significant gold diff in the jungle at this current moment in time.
How do I show the gold on my end? I don't know what the one is. But we're only seeing a difference of about 1.3k gold, which is somewhat surprising considering the way this game has appeared to have gone. But I guess the CS numbers are being upkept by the Swain and the Jin in the bottom side of the map, so the gold discrepancy isn't enormous. Hunt looking for a play in the bot side right now. Ornn and Maokai doing what they've done all game, just sort of slapping each other. We did see the bot lane turret taken by the side of Platypus, which is probably accounting for some of that, sort of keeping that gold lead in check. Jin has been rotated to the mid lane while Swain is up to take the side lane to hold against the Vayne and the Soraka. The Hunter has been paying a lot of attention to this lane, probably looking to break that turret, which is on about half health. Maybe look for a dive on the Swain to open up the map a bit more, help his Vayne get around and start impacting more fights. Just sort of hovering in case a play is made. Which you might have anticipated correctly, as Softbot does stealth in onto the Soraka. There's a lot of damage coming out of the Shaco. Soraka almost one shot, but between the barrier and never mind, gets picked up on the backside by the Swain.
Does go down, and that's a lot of damage coming out from those two. Oh, that's a very nice Leona off the table. The Aatrox does go down.
Yeah, the Shaco claim
Still goes to the Shaco.
put in some work on the back end of that fight.
That was
absolutely clobbering on the Aatrox.
That was really nice from Granny Spanner, and Enix came in clutch with the Leona. You know, getting the flash out the game.
Kino Man and Digitest making a play on the Veigar in the mid lane with almost all of their abilities. Veigar had no sums either, so that was pretty free kill if they managed to lock that one down. Ornn is stuck in the cage. Maokai is just sort of...
Okay.
Kino Man with a spicy flash forward. Fourth shot grenade and Veigar just pops, but Bamboo is around on the back end of the fight to pick up the kill on the Ornn. Leon looking hesitant to go in. I'm not really sure why. Jin definitely could have just popped that Maokai, but she hesitates and ends up missing the Zenith Blade. Yeah, this game. Definitely curious. I feel like if Gourmet Gang were sort of adhering to their win conditions and just supporting the Vayne, then they wouldn't be encountering quite as much difficulty. But after somewhat of a misplay on the bot side, a really nice fight from Granny Spanner, they've managed to reclaim some of the gold lead, get some more gold over to their carries. Shaco picks up a kill. Granny Spanner picks up a couple kills.
Softbot on the Soraka again.
No summoners on Soraka, and Softbot
it's a very nice ult.
managed to pick up the kill. is cutting out really well. Aatrox is being bursted pretty heavily. Doesn't have too many resist. Goes down. So does Soft Fart. All with the TP in on the backside. A nice knock up onto the Maokai. Maokai has to flash away, but Leona follows up with the Zenith Blade. Is he going to drop at any point? He does. Vayne in the final hour. Looking to make some plays, but doesn't manage to pick up any kills. And Drake, number 4 of the game, is actually going over to the side of Platypus in a strange turn of events.
We're gonna see, unless something crazy happens, are they gonna try and trade mid-turret for it rather than go for steal? Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, nice adaptation from Gourmet Game to pick up the mid-turret here, but...
Can't quite scare him off, but it's a good attempt from Kino Man. Yeah, we're seeing Soul Point from Team Platypus right now, which is what they're really going to need. It's going to be really nice for that Shaco to try and take out the Vayne or the Soraka. Probably the Soraka, because there's no way you're killing that team. Have we seen any anti-heal? We are seeing anti-heal from the Shaco.
Yeah, I was just about to point out. But despite his somewhat uneven early game from the Shaco, he's definitely been putting out a lot of DPS in these fights. The execution squad is coming in clutch to take down these big healing targets like Aatrox and Maokai, and also to counteract some of the Soraka healing. Definitely a necessary purchase from the side of Platypus. Maybe that's what's making the swings. These fights do tend to be going in the favor of Platypus at the moment. Granny Spanner really showing up. Aatrox is looking to make a play on the Ornn in the top side. Misses Q1. Ornn dashes away. Doesn't quite get pulled back by the chains, but it looks like they're not going to commit to the play any longer as Ornn makes it safely to his turret. Still seeing a 1-turret advantage from Team Platypus after that exchange of mid-turrets. Those do open up the map a lot more though. And maybe give Shaco some more angles to make more aggressive plays once again.
It is a very even game. This one could go for a little while. I think we're seeing, yeah, the 0-3 Vigar, but the 3-0 Vayne. So I think Aatrox is, I mean, especially when he gets that Death Stance.
Aatrox making aggressive play onto 3 members of Platypus. Leona misses all of her spells, but it looks like he might drop regardless. Ornn summons the Forge God, lands the second halving. They knock down the Hunt. Maybe his ego getting a little bit too big for this game, as the Baron is available. Doesn't look like the Platypus is going to go for it. Enix is pretty low on that Leona, so he's going for a recall. Kino Man's going to soak up this experience at the top side, as Maokai doesn't care at all, just W's in on the Jhin.
Just seen the first Eye Edge upgrade onto the Jhin. That's some more AD. And he's going to be very happy he has that, because he's just going to have to try and pump out as much DPS as he can before this Aatrox tries to ram him down. But I think Aatrox is realistically as strong as he's going to get at any point here. You know, I don't think he quite maintains the level of strength he currently has into the late game. So obviously they've got the Vigar and the Vayne to make up for it, but if the Hunt is sort of if he keeps getting caught like this, then late game's not going to look too good for him, and he is just going to be, well, he'll always have the knockups, but he won't be able to do exactly what he was doing earlier on when he was an absolute terrorist in that red side jungle.
I think we can't really downplay the strength of the Jhin at this current moment. This is a pretty distinct spike for him. He's obviously got the Molten Edge upgrade and the Storm Razor. We see top turret fall on the side of Platypus. But he's definitely a force to be reckoned with. We've spoken a lot about the Vayne and the Vigar, but this Jhin is definitely hitting right now. As we've seen from the last couple of fights, they have been leaning in favor of the Team Platypus, and I think while the game is fairly even, both teams have very distinct win conditions right now. Vayne is still to get some more items under her belt. Vigar's trying to stack up, but Red Side are threatening Soul Point, so I think if they can maybe force some plays around these objectives, the Baron's now spawned with the pretty distinct power spikes we're seeing from Swain and Jhin. Game could definitely both goes ways, but I'd really like to see some aggressive vision denial from the Leona and the Shaco to maybe make some picks happen. Somewhat of a stalemate. All the members of Gourmet Games kind of just chilling in the middle lane. Aatrox still power farming up. But so what? As you've already said, he's pretty much the strongest he's going to get until maybe after he gets his Death Stance. Vayne collects the red buff, and somewhat of a stalemate. Dragon is spawning in under a minute, which is definitely be a point of contention.
Visible pain that it caused the Hunt to give away that red buff. As a solo queue jungle player, I think that one just physically hurt him. As a regular.
Probably also physically hurt Bamboo's child when he took the red away from him. Dragon is now spawning. So,
okay, the hunt goes straight back in, but Digitest presses.
Digitest really testing the limits of this on pick. He's taking pretty aggressive plays. As we do see Jin somewhat out of position, gets locked up by the chains, but Atrox being chain CC down, a lot of burst is coming out. Leona does drop. Bamboo's really just free hitting in this fight, putting out a lot of DPS while Jin is zoned by the Maokai. Shake on the backside, almost manages to take down the Soraka, but Vayne is not being threatened by anyone right now. Is almost full H, is pretty low, but is managed to pick up the Swain, perhaps. Granny Spanner managed to pick up Vayne on the backside of that fight, but it's not going to make the huge amount of difference as we do see a teamfight victory come out for the side of Gourmet Gang, and that was a pretty weird series of events. It started out by Jin being quite out of position, and then they didn't manage to quite finish off the hunt at the start of that fight, and then they had nothing left to really combat the Vayne.
Baron to start it before Aatrox gets there, I think, while he just cleans up the drag.
Yeah, so does the Drake. They don't have Vayne, I think. If Granny's fan of Hannah managed to clutch up and kill the Vayne on the back end of that fight, then the Baron would be dropping at a considerably faster pace right now. In fact, it's dropping so slowly, I have a feeling that if they prioritize it, the Platypus might be able to get there in time, but I don't think they're aware that it's dying so slowly or that they even have a chance to contest. It looks like they're somewhat moving over.
No, he is heading down now, but I don't think he's quite going to get there.
Jin goes for the snipe, doesn't quite get it, and
they are just going to walk out.
Eventually secured by the blue side, and they're just going to walk out. Definitely not what you wanted to happen on the side of Team Platypus.
That was an interesting one for that team fight because it looked like they were so desperate to get the Maokai off of the Ornn that they... I think we had 3 members of Red Team like running back at the Maokai to peel the Jin while the Vayne actually just stood in the middle of the team fight free hitting everyone. And it was the Vayne completely isolated while Shaco chased Soraka for feet picks to the end of the world.
A worthy cause.
And yeah, the Vayne just started free hitting away. But Granny Spanner is really putting in a shift here. And being forced off roll. Oh, we're seeing a pause.
And we see a pause come out from Enix. Hopefully we have an update shortly on why is this happening and how long roughly we are to expect the pause to last. Let's go have a look.
Enix is just responding to chat.
Softfart has just left the game. He's had enough. Understandable after the shit show this game has been.
It's the second jungler to leave the team.
Oh, maybe the Soraka feet picks. Yeah, we're seeing an unfortunate theme for the junglers on the side of Platypus. Maybe the Soraka feet picks just came through, so he needs to take a short break. Can't be certain. I'm sure we'll have an update from production soon as to why the pause is taking place. But after that last team fight around Dragon, Gourmet Gang managed to stall Soul by another 5 minutes. In the meantime, that's just more opportunities for the Vayne and the Veigar to get gold under their belt and keep scaling. Even the Maokai is becoming a really formidable threat. He's super tanky, and we saw how much he was able to throw a spanner in the works of Kino Man's plans in that last team fight. He wasn't really able to do much. And I say things are looking pretty good off the back of that play for the side of Gourmet Gang. They now have the Baron buff, so how best would you like to see them utilize that for the next few minutes of play?
I'd like to see some thick ARAM plays. I think ARAM is always going to be the greatest strat when you have Baron, because it takes 0 brain power and you don't actually have to think about how you're using it, so you physically cannot go wrong if all of you just run it straight down the mid.
I'm honestly inclined to agree with you. I feel like especially in solo queue and also competitive play in some cases, people will try to get too fancy and finicky with the Baron when in reality, in most cases, you can just send all 5 of your members to the middle lane, break the inhib, and then go from there. One thing I will say is that there is a lot of hard engage on the side of Team Platypus in the form of the Ornn ult, Leona ult, and the Shaco stealthy into the back of their team. Looks like everyone's ready. Softfart, I believe, was just lagging, but he's back in the game. It looks like we're going to be getting started here in a few minutes or a few moments.
Yep, UNL general chat. A little bit of insider info. Apparently, Softfart actually followed through by accident, so he was just cleaning up.
It's happened. It happens to the best of us, boys. We can't rag him too hard. Maybe. Alright, whatever.
He turned into Foth Shark. So
Yeah,
we
looks
are
like
gonna
these
see.
guys are listening in on the stream. We're
We
seeing.
we are gonna see the ARAM action.
There you go, Aram. I like this. It's a really streamlined like form of play.
Shaker got to the top side, so he's at the back. And now what we're looking
Take
for?
the one side, and that's all they wanted, I guess.
Are they looking to rotate top? They are indeed.
Looking to rotate him, hopefully get this top turret down, but they don't really have the mini wave in position right now, so it will be 30 seconds or so until they have that wave in a position to attack this turret. Ample time for red side to prepare for the oncoming push, but the Swain pick doesn't give them a great deal of wave clear to hold them off, so while they're not the longest range comp on the side of Gourmet Gang, I think they'll fairly reliably be able to get this turret down as Kinoman secures the red buff, and all 10 members make their way up to the top side of the map. Maokai isn't quite there yet, but he does have the TP available if anything breaks out. I suppose they're just waiting for him to exert pressure on the middle lane before they attempt to get this turret down.
310 farm on the Jin is kind of nuts. You know, he's pushing that, what, like 8.5, 9 farm per minute barrier. 3 items. He's a pretty big dude right now.
100%.
Pretty scary figure.
Without the last whisper,
well.
he's going to have a somewhat difficult time making his way through the brick wall that is Maokai. But versus any other member of the roster on the side of Gourmet Gang, like Jin is going to be chunking. Oh, what was that, Davis? Davis. It's okay, bro. We have somewhat of a stalemate here. Red team are being successful in clearing away these two minions.
Maokai is pushing that bot lane though, and Granny Spanner is going to meet him in the jungle. We're going to see the bird versus the tree, I think.
Do you see the Baron buff drop on the side of Gourmet Gang? So they're only able to pick up one turret successfully with that. But without Leandries, Swain's going to have a tough time.
No Leandries on the fire means that is not going to die.
It's what attributed to a lot of the burst we were seeing out of him in earlier fights, but yeah, he really just can't quite pressure this Maokai with the turret, so Maokai is successfully going to take that one. As Gourmet getting back off on the top side, Aatrox tries to guide the wave into the middle lane, and we're seeing once again Baron spawning for our sixth dragon of the game.
I think
Team Platypus are still in contention for Soul if they manage to pick this one up. So once again, it will be a pivotal team fight. We'll have to see how it goes.
Granny Spanner could be getting instruction from Ceiling Fan because they banned 2 cats and Gourmet Gang still managed to pick Meowkai. So it's kind of toxic.
Yeah, it's pretty messed up if you ask me.
The hunt just auto attacks through a wall. I did not know that was a mechanic.
Oh, so he's just hacking. Okay, well there goes all the competitive integrity.
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing engage onto the owner, not the prime target as Maokai makes way into the backline. Jin's pretty zoned.
Big Maokai.
Bane is free hitting, managed to dodge away from the solar flare. Aatrox diving really aggressively onto the Jin. He's definitely their main focus, while Swain is pretty much full health. Final hour of Bane runs out, Maokai does drop. Jin is pretty much full health, decides to channel the ultimate, but cancels it early as he realizes that Bamboo is out for blood.
That's a 2 for 1.
It's 2 for 1, and the jungler of Platypus is dropping, so it looks like Dragon is going to be secured by Gourmet Gang.
And yeah, one goes. Our next dragon is going to be soul point for either team.
Pretty rare that you see that be the case, but as we predicted earlier, we're definitely in for a long game. Perhaps it is the start of the season nerves that are getting to both these teams. They've been somewhat hesitant to commit to plays, and so we're not seeing too much decisiveness out of either roster to close the game out early. But as we've spoken about on multiple occasions, I'm pretty sure that the scaling is in favor of Gourmet Gang. We've seen how slippery the Vayne is, especially in that last fight as they tried to throw CCs at her and they just couldn't quite connect. Definitely proving to be a menace is cutting through Swain at a pretty impressive rate, so he's not doesn't have too much survivability in these fights. I think it's once again somewhat of an uphill battle, especially now that Gourmet Gang are threatening the Dragon Soul. What kind of plays would you like to see come out of Platypus to regain the momentum in this game?
I think I want to see that Morello's completed on the Swain, and then we're getting.
Looks like Enix is quite out of position.
Just
Exactly
before
as
Baron
the Baron spawns, Maokai TP's in. There were all 5 members available. Maokai is looking to engage onto the Jin. They know it's flashless.
That's a very big engage.
And that's a huge engage from Kadrak.
Just the game.
That's 3 members down on.
That's a 50-second death timer on 2 members of Team Platypus.
We're gonna have to see
look for
miraculous Swain gameplay come out if Platypus are gonna keep themselves in the game. They don't even offer the Baron. They're just looking for the end. I'd say it's pretty realistic. They got 40 seconds on the Ornn.
And 30 seconds on the Jin still. I think this
Swain with no flash does get caught up with the second half of the chains, and he gets dropped. Vigar is officially scaled, guys. Instantly one-shots the Shaco. That's an ace on the side of Gourmet Gang, and pretty sure it's going to be the game. So all it took was that one really decisive TP, along with the home guards and the flash from Maokai, to lock up the 350 CS Jin. He was farming a whole game just to be rooted by Maokai, and that's GG. Game 1 of UNL Season 3, going over to the side of Gourmet Gang.